Hello, and welcome to episode 25 of the Mindful Knitter podcast. My name is Claire, and I am your host. I'm coming to you from the southeast of the United States, where I live with my husband, Alex, and our three Great Danes, Murphy, Nolly, and Obi. This is a podcast primarily about knitting, crochet, other yarny fiber-related things, spinning, sometimes weaving, though I don't really talk about that tons. And basically just beautiful yarn goodness. Welcome. Did people say welcome so much? I don't know. Welcome if you're returning. I'm so happy to have you here. This feels like a special episode for a number of reasons. One, it is sort of a, significant number for a lot of people, like 25 feels like a significant number. So that feels kind of significant to me. I didn't really realize that this podcast was going to go on this long. I hoped that it would, but I didn't know what to expect. I also did not expect to be so close to 1,000 viewers or 1,000 subscribers. We have more than 1,000 viewers. I didn't expect that either. So that's a very happy and I suppose potentially overwhelming surprise, but I'm very grateful for it. So thank you so much for that, for creating this community with me. And thank you for returning today if you're a returning viewer and for joining me. And welcome to you if you are new. I'm so glad that you found my channel and me, and I hope that you enjoy the video today. I have a lot of videos at this point, so if you want to check some of them out, I've got podcasts, vlogs, travel vlogs, and we have a make-along going on right now, the Magical Make-Along, or a Magical Make-Along. So there are videos about that as well. I think the last video I uploaded was last week, and it was about the Magical Make-Along and updates for that. So, pretty much all of the welcome introduction stuff, I think. I'm going to try not to be like too emotional or overwhelmed by the fact that this is number 25 and that we are very close to 1,000 subscribers. It was like 960 something this morning when I looked. So, wow. Just wow. I might try to articulate how much that means to me, but I don't know if I could adequately articulate that. I have felt very alone for many years, particularly with crafting. I guess that sounds a little dramatic when I say it, but it is true. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. So might as well voice it. And this channel has given me a community. The YouTube Yarny community in general made me start to feel like I wasn't so alone in the world. And particularly when I started this channel, I really felt like I was part of something. So I'm just so grateful, like so grateful. It means a whole lot to me. I won't get too emotional. I'll save my emotions for off camera. So if you are new and you're not familiar, this podcast format is finished objects, works in progress. Today I'll be sharing some acquisitions. We'll be talking about some make-alongs, some crafting plans, and the mindfulness segment for today is kind of a reflection, I guess. I'll be sharing basically all of the socks I've knit in the past year with you guys and sharing reflections on that. Because I think that can be a mindful practice within our crafting, is reflecting back on what we've done and what it meant to us and kind of the journey from then to now and that sort of thing. So if you want to connect with me on social media, words are hard. If you want to connect with me on social media, I am on Ravelry and Instagram. On Ravelry, I am Mindful Knitter Pod, We do have a group on Ravelry as well. It's Mindful Knitter Podcast Group. And I'm on Instagram as the.mindfulknitter. And I post on there weekly, not daily, but I post on there probably a few times a week. So I would say I'm reasonably active on Instagram, but I don't spam it. So at least that's how I think about it. Yeah, and then any information that is pertinent or important to projects, patterns, yarn, notions, any of that kind of thing, I will have that linked in the description down below the video as well. So you can find contact information below the video in the description, and you can find information about things I am sharing today in the description as well. So I think that's all of our admin-y intro stuff. Let's get into the finished objects first for today. So my first finished object, I am wearing it, and if you have been following the podcast for a while, you will recognize this as the Florida Road Trip Mystery Knit-Along Shawl. It is complete. This is my favorite way of wearing it at the moment. It's fun. Oh, and actually I just cracked my back. That was really nice. Yeah, this is my favorite way of wearing this at the moment. Yeah, so I guess I will tell you guys a little bit about this. I do have the yarn with me. It's a few feet away. I'm gonna try to grab it. I'll grab it in a minute. So I'll tell you a little bit about this first. So this was by Really Clear Designs. So designed by and hosted by Really Clear Designs. They do a mystery road trip knit along in the summer, typically, for the last few years. And this year it was a Florida road trip mystery knit along, which I loved. And this was the shawl. The knit along has been over for a bit now, so I don't feel too spoilery. If for whatever reason you don't want to see this because it might spoil something for you, I'm about to take mine off and show it to you. So this is your very fair warning. But yeah, so look away if you don't want to see. This is the completed shawl. It's pretty cool. It is a V shape, as you can tell, which is I think it's a pretty wearable design. They gave 2 size options. This is the smaller size option because I didn't think that I required the larger size option. I'm not super tall, and I don't feel the need to be completely wrapped all up in a shawl. So, I mean, I like it to be wrapped up, but I don't need to feel engulfed by my shawl typically. It starts falling off and then I don't know what to do with it. So I did the smaller version. And this is a very cool format for this make along. It's sort of like a choose your own adventure style, and there are 2 designers. So each 2 weeks you get you get a clue, and they are basically these, I'm gonna try to explain this in a way that makes sense. Every 2 weeks you get a clue, and the clue is for 2 panels. So each of these panels is by a different designer, one of the 2 designers, Cynthia and Valerie. And so you have the option to just do Cynthia's or just do Valerie's, in which case you would do it on each side, each leg of the shawl, so the 2 legs would match. Or you can do both designers' patterns, and every single one of these sections throughout the whole shawl is different. So I opted for that. I did every single pattern that was an option. So each of these sections is different, and each section is a different part of Florida. So that's really cool. So it's like you're taking a road trip through Florida with Cynthia and Valerie and the hundreds of other people that did the make-along. The Facebook group for this make-along was great. It was so much fun. Everyone was very interactive. and uploaded pictures, and we all talked to each other a lot, and it was just so good. So yeah, I can't remember what each of the different sections were exactly, but this one I definitely remember because it's Pensacola. So this is the Pensacola lace. These are the parking meters that fund a homeless mission. It's like a homeless fund, so it goes towards supporting the people who are homeless in Pensacola. These are carnivorous pitcher plants from one of the nature preserves that I can't remember. These are sand dunes. I'm not going to remember all of the different cities that these are in. These are supposed to be like quilts from a historical reenactment town. These are the fountains in Tampa? I can't remember exactly. It's like, I think it's like is it the Creative Children's Museum? I can't remember, but these are little fountains in a city that's a big city in, is it Sarasota? I can't remember. This is a section I actually need to fix. This is like a bridge in the trees. Again, can't remember what city that is from, but isn't this cool how like all the patterns are inspired? This is alligator skin because Florida. This is the bridge that has the Joshua tree, whose name I don't remember, but the Joshua, is it a Joshua tree? I know there's a Joshua tree in California. I'm second guessing myself. This is an important bridge. I think is it 7 Mile Bridge? I can't remember. Good grief. This is a lace panel that was a pain in the, and it is very pretty, and I'm very happy that I did it, but it was tedious AF. Here are palm trees. Pretty sure the palm trees were for Miami or maybe the Keys. Something like that. Here is, this is supposed to be like a baseball. This is for Legoland. These are each like a little Lego. And then towards this part, you choose Valerie or Cynthia's because there's no, like you have to just do one or the other. So I did Valerie's for both this section and this section. These are supposed to be alligator teeth, but I consider them to be shark teeth because this summer in particular, my husband was he wanted to get like a good shark because like he catches baby sharks all the time off the shore, but he wanted to get like a good shark. Basically one that met the limits for you're able to keep them. He wouldn't have kept it. He would have, released it. Would have been a catch and release situation, but he wanted to get a good shark. So that's, while I was knitting this portion of the shawl, I couldn't think of alligators. All I could think of was sharks. So these to me are shark teeth because Alex was very determined this summer. He never got one. He got lots of baby sharks. But he always gets lots of baby sharks, so that wasn't super new. I think that the biggest shark he got was about 2 feet long, which is small. And then this section here was my first time doing Intarsia, and that was an adventure. And this is the aerial view of the fort. I cannot remember, the Castillo de San Marco? The Castillo de San Marco? Maybe. I can't remember. But this is the aerial view of that really, really old fort in St. Augustine, which is special to me because my family went to St. Augustine all the time when I was growing up, and we went to the fort all the time because my mom really loved it. So that was special to me. I omitted, there were like 130 something beads for this section, I think, and then cabling. And by the time I got to this, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm ready to be done. So I figured I can always add some beads in later if I want to. but I like how it turned out. I think the Intarsia, and if you're curious about what the back looked like, this is the back of my Intarsia, which is not perfect, but I don't think that's too bad for my first time. And you can see I have like some floats because I did do some stranded color work mixed with Intarsia a little bit just to like save myself some sanity. But I don't think it's too bad. And nobody's really gonna see that because the way that you wear this shawl, it's gonna it's gonna lay flat for the most part. So yeah, this shawl was a great learning opportunity. I did a lot of different techniques. A lot of techniques I'd never done before, including knitting with beads. You can see there are beads. I added the beads. The beads were not part of the pattern for the palm trees, but I added them just to kind of help pop out the palm trees a little bit. And then there are beads like in all of these sections. There's a beaded picot cast on, which was an adventure. I'd never done a picot cast on, and I'd never done beads. And so like the very first clue for the mystery knit along was a bunch of stuff I'd never done before. So I was like, okay, but I did it and it was great. And I really like the beaded picot. Yeah, I'd never done picot in general. No, I take that back. I had done picot. It was like a picot bind off though that I'd done on my Pluma shawl or shawlette. So this is great. A lot of different lace techniques I'd never done. Like, I mean, the sand dunes are so cool. The pitcher plants had a cool lace on them. These like guys were cool. Who else was something I'd never done before? This was just this was a very intricate kind of lace, at least for me. And then in particular, like making these like these flowers. I'd never done anything like that before. So just very, very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, I'm very happy with this shawl. I think it's pretty wearable. Like I said before, like you can kind of wear it like the way that you would kind of think, like almost like a stole, where it's like kind of like this, and you can like kind of like, I don't know, toss them over the shoulders, or you can leave them down and just kind of have like a light wrap. You could have it off to the side like I had it. You could wear it kind of bandana style. You could wear it like this, which is not bad. That's actually kind of cute. So lots of different ways to wear this guy. And I like the colors a lot. I was worried that it was going to be too bright, but because I did all blues, I think that it is cohesive enough that I can still wear this. I was concerned halfway through it that this was never going to be a shawl that I would wear, because it's just, I was like, this is too much going on. I wear neutrals a lot. I tend to wear a lot of neutrals. I don't really knit with a lot of neutrals apparently, but I do tend to wear a lot of neutrals. So, which actually works in my favor, because I can throw on my colorful hand knit items over my neutral like store-bought clothes. So I think that I'll be able to wear this more than I thought that I'd be able to, because I do love blue and I do wear a lot of blue, and I think that it is cohesive. So the yarn that I used for this, I'm going to grab the bag that has the yarn. So I'm going to abandon you for just 1 second. Actually, it'll be more like 5 seconds, but I'm right here. I'm coming back. Nobody panic. Okay, I'm back. I don't edit these podcasts. So I know some people get real fancy with their podcasts and they edit them. I do not. I just film and go. I edit my vlogs, but these podcasts are too long. I'm not going to edit them. And I'm just sitting and talking the whole time, so I don't really feel a big need to. And it's not a like professional channel. This is for fun. Anyway, okay, so the yarn is Big Sky Yarn Co. Very nice, very nice. This is their Star Sock. I got this kit at Dixie Knits in Pensacola. Star Sock, it is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards, and 100 grams. Now, I am not going to be able to tell you the exact color because I separated the ball bands from the yarn when I was winding up the yarn. So I lost which one is which somewhere along the way. So I can give you my very best guess, which I'm pretty sure is right, but you can go back to the original episode where I talk about this kit. That might be episode like 15 at this point, somewhere around there. Maybe like 18. And I tell you exactly which color is which, but I am almost positive this is correct. This one I know is Summer Storm. This one I know is Summer Storm, this like dark navy kind of color. And these are all like pretty much solids, semi-solids. They're hand dyed, so I'd say semi-solid. Excuse me. I am almost positive this is St. Lucia. This is a very saturated, like cerulean kind of blue. Almost positive that this is Cool Beans. This lovely light, a light aqua, I would say. And this guy in the teacup that I was using as my yarn bowl. I guess that's more of a coffee cup. This is Toes in the Sand, which is a custom colorway for Dixie Knits. And a pretty good color representation of what the water often looks like on the beaches, particularly Pensacola Beach, because the sand is pretty white. I wouldn't say it's perfectly white, but it's pretty close. And the water is often like a beautiful like turquoise and blue, and I don't want to sell it too well, lest the beach becomes more crowded than it is. Although our place is not super crowded usually, so that's nice that it remains that way. So yeah, if you want to visit Pensacola, I won't keep you from it, but I do like not being super crowded on the beach. Let's see. And I guess it depends on the time of year too. So like this time of year, there's like no one out there, which is nice. So this, I don't think I have any other information for this. The pattern is available on Ravelry, and I think that you can purchase the full pattern now. I think the whole thing is available, and yeah, this was a really fun knit. It started in May and ended in August. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything else to say about it. It feels a little anticlimactic because I was working on this for like 3 or 4 months. So this took up a large portion. This took up my whole summer, and was just very significant in a lot of ways. It was my very first mystery knit along. It was my first knit along, much less my first mystery knit along. I learned so much. Yeah, it was so great. We'll see what they come up with next year. I doubt they'll do Florida again, which is a shame. But I will probably participate again next year because it was a great experience. So I guess I'll just keep it on like this for now, unless it like irritates me or something. Yes. And I do feel like I should, I don't know, I debated like mentioning this today, but it's on my mind, so I like feel like I would like to mention it. So it's what is it, the 9th, September 9th, 2022. So a lot of you probably do know that Queen Elizabeth yesterday did die, and it was Queen Elizabeth II. And so I won't get emotional. I am sad. And I know that I am not the only one who is sad. There are, you know, everybody has different feelings whenever anything happens in life. So I've seen some, I don't know, I guess I would think of them as unkind things being posted on the internet. Regardless of how you feel about the person of Queen Elizabeth II, she was a person, and she was and is loved by a great many people. Yeah, and she lived a truly remarkable life. Kind of regardless of how you feel about the remarkableness of her life, it was remarkable. So yes, that is kind of on my mind and is weighing on me a little bit today. And I particularly if there's anybody who's watching who is feeling that loss today, because I know a lot of particularly her countrymen and women and her country people, a lot of them are feeling that loss in our mourning, and my heart is with you. Yeah, my heart is with you, and my heart is with her family and with everybody who loved her most and who continues to love her. So it is weighing on me today. And I'm not going to have that be like to take over our content, because we're here for yarn. But I feel like it's a major event that has just happened in the last 24 hours, so it's hard for me to not acknowledge it. And so many of you are affected by this as well. So I just want to let you know that I care about you and how you're feeling, and I join you, at least in a small way, with sadness. Yeah, I don't really talk about my family history or heritage or any of that sort of thing a whole lot, but I do feel very close ties with that part of the world. So yes, so just want to acknowledge that. And yeah, so on to the next finished object. So my next, not finished object. Oh wait, yes, finished object. Do I have any other finished objects? I don't think so. I think this is my only finished object to share with you guys today. So everything else is oh, no. I take it all back. I have 2 skeins of yarn that I spun. So these can be finished objects. Because I consider them finished objects, even though they're not like a wearable object. They are something that I spent a significant amount of time on, and I feel happy with the result. So this guy, I have another 4 ounces of this fiber, and I have mixed feelings about it. I love the finished yarn. I am still not the greatest at skeining these guys, but I will get better. I am not the best at getting these guys to look like a pretty and neat skein. But this is Malabrigo in the Diana colorway. In English, it would be Diana, or Diana, sorry. Diana, but is Diana. And it's gorgeous. It's completely and utterly beautiful. And the fiber, it's Malabrigo, so you can imagine it's real soft, and it has this lovely luster to it. And it's just, let's give it to you again. It's so gorgeous. So I've got this one, and then I have another 4 ounces. So my plan as of right now is to spin the other one up to match this, and then to spin up something else that's coordinating. Maybe 2 more So I have 16 ounces, which should be enough for a sweater, I think. Yeah, 16 ounces. This is just gorgeous, and I love it. I love it so much. I don't remember all my specifications, but it's basically, I would say like this is a worsted Aran, probably Aran weight. I love this so much, and it's just beautiful and squishy and amazing. And has anybody else spun with Malabrigo Nube fiber? Because it's a trial to spin with. And I've seen that on a couple of spinning podcasts that I follow, or spinning channels, and where they'll say, put it on a blending board, because Malabrigo Nube is just, it gets, how do they describe it? It's kettle dyed. So the fiber, it doesn't really felt, but it gets matted. Not super matted though. There's a term for it, I think, that I'm just not remembering at this moment, but it can be a little difficult to draft and to spin. So by the time I was done with it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe. And then I washed it and finished it, and I was like, well, this is beautiful yarn, and now I want to make like 12 more of these. Darn you, Malabrigo Nube. So this is gorgeous yarn. I'm very happy with it. I'm spinning some easier stuff right now in the meantime, because that was a trial, but I love it and I regret nothing, and I'm super grateful to have that skein. This one, oh no, I don't remember. Oh no, I forgot to get this information. I'll put it below though. It'll be in the description below the video. Ooh, I'm sorry about that. That was not well planned on my part. This is Prisms at Midnight. I think I want to say that this is from Our Woolly World on Etsy, but I could be wrong. But the colorway is Prisms at Midnight. And it's super cool. It's got all of these like cool little bits. Like that's the black and white little like, and there's some black and grays in there. Yeah, this was just really cool to spin up. It's not as soft as the Malabrigo, but it's soft. It's okay. I wouldn't call it rustic. And I think I did thwack this one, so it did puff up a bit more too. Yeah, I liked this one. This was fun. This is very fun. I don't know if this is going to be one that I keep and do something with, or if this is going to be part of a giveaway, or like on the channel, or if this might go into an Etsy shop, because I'm thinking about having an Etsy shop for my hand spun. We'll see, but that was a fun one too. So that's the spinning. So that's all my finished objects. So now into works in progress. And I went over a lot of these in greater detail in my magical make-along video that I posted last week. So I have like one bit of hair that like keeps doing something real weird. I don't really know. I don't think there's anything I can do about that. Okay, that's fine. I talked about these in greater detail in last week's episode of the magical make-along like updates, so I'm not going to go get super into them now. I'll just give like a fairly brief kind of check-in about them. And then in the previous podcast episode, I also talked about them more. We have a lot of socks to talk about later, so I'm going to try to do this kind of quickly. This is in my Harry Potter project bag by Anomalous Mind. And this is my Mrs. Weasley's Christmas sweater, which I've made some progress on. So this progress keeper was where I showed you guys last time on the podcast. I've knit all of this since then, so that's exciting. I have my little mortar and pestle progress keeper by Sam's Tiny Trinkets on Etsy. I have to think about it. And the tweed is this great blue tweed. It's like a deep blue. It is Ella Ray Eco Tweed in the Lapis Lazuli colorway. And then the edge, I'm holding double the Eco Tweed and the DK Merino Superwash in Riverwood Heather, also Ella Ray. I am holding the yarn double, the tweed double. I'm just holding the yarn double for the whole thing, basically, because it wanted an worsted Aran weight, and this was like a, I'd say this is like a DK. So I'm holding it double to give me that squishier fabric, and I'm very pleased with it. This will be done in no time. I say that. Hopefully it's done by the end of the make-along. The make-along ends October 31st. I guess I can talk a little, I'll just mention it now. Magical make-along is anything magic related. It's not a Harry Potter themed knit along. I just am doing a lot of Harry Potter stuff, and other people are submitting a lot of Harry Potter projects too, but we have plenty of non-Harry Potter projects being submitted. Like there, I think there was some Game of Thrones stuff, some Narnia, some generic magical stuff, like my next work in progress that I'm about to show you. And it's going until October 31st, which is Halloween. So anything Halloween counts for that make-along as well. So I am making a gnome, which is so fun. I've been wanting to make one of these for a while. There's a gnome make-along going on right now. I think Imagined Landscapes is doing a year-long mystery, like, gnome-along. At least that's what I'm calling it. I think they're just calling it a mystery make-along for the Year of Gnomes or something like that. I'm calling it a gnome-along. So I am knitting one of the patterns by Imagined Landscapes. And it's so cute. Look how cute this is. So incredibly cute. This is the hat. It's going to be a tall hat. And I put the picture of which pattern I am doing on Instagram the other day when I posted about my gnome. But I don't know. I don't have it on here. I'm just not very prepared today, apparently. I'm sorry about that. Okay, here's a picture of it. So I am knitting the Gnome de Plume, which is a cute name. So this is the gnome that I am knitting. Let's see if I can make that a little brighter so you can see it better. There we go. So cute. Look at its little leaf on top of its hat. So cute. By Imagined Landscapes. So cute. And I'm very excited about it. I'm just using scraps. I'm using DPNs, as you can see. These are my Knit Picks wooden, I think these are my mosaic wooden DPNs. And for the hat, I am using the Lotus. So this is Sheepy Shire yarn on Etsy in their Lotus colorway on their, I think it's the Pixie sock base, which is their sparkly, like, Stellina-y sock base. I definitely have some laddering going on. We're just gonna say that's part of the decoration on the hat. I've never done this much purling while knitting on DPNs, so I think that's probably why I'm getting laddering, because I don't have any laddering when I knit socks, but I imagine the ladders are happening because it's purling versus knitting, and my tension is just strange on those, like, corners where it joins between the needles. So I don't know, but I don't really mind. It's a gnome. I don't think it matters tons. So that's very exciting. And this is in my Moth and Mushroom project bag by You So Pretty. It is spelled E-W-E, like the sheep, and sew with needle and thread, S-E-W. Pretty. They're on Etsy too. So that is that work in progress. And then my next work in progress, I think that last episode I had told you guys that I was going to be starting the Hug Shrug by Mina Phillip. That didn't happen. The winds of inspiration blew me a different way, and instead I started a crochet shawl. So that went a different direction, but here we are. So this guy I think is pretty. I started him about a week ago, and here we are. I think this is very pretty. It's not done. It's almost done. I have 2 rows left, and then I need to block it. So I considered trying to like power through it yesterday to show you guys today, but I'm having weird body aches right now, and my hands really hurt. My feet hurt, everything hurts. So crocheting just didn't really feel like the best option. So I tried some spinning instead, which may or may not have been a good idea, but we do what we have to, I guess. What else did I do last night? I think I knit on my sweater a little bit too, because that didn't really seem like it was hurting my hands, but crocheting felt like too much wrist motion. So, yeah, this guy though, I think is really pretty. And I will tell you about the pattern and the yarn. So the pattern is the Adeline, pretty sure it's Adeline, the Adeline shawl by Expression Fiber Arts. She's got some great tutorials on her YouTube channel for it. You can also purchase the pattern on Ravelry or on the Expression Fiber Arts website. And it's basically just crocheted pineapples that just, you know, continue on for forever. And then I'm on the edging portion now. And I used 2 different yarns for this. The first one, which is this kind of ombre yarn, is by Apple Tree Knits. This is the plush fingering. It is the Ice Queen gradient. It is 100% superwash merino, 560 yards, and 113 grams. It's a 2-ply, which is interesting. Well, is it a 2-ply? Yes, it is a 2-ply. I was looking at the wrong yarn. Yeah, it's a 2-ply, which is interesting. I haven't really knit with a whole lot of commercial 2-ply fingering yarns. But yeah, so I got this years ago. I don't know if it's still around. The second beautiful color, which I'll show you a little closer, this is these beautiful like pale aquas and some like gray, like light gray and dark gray. This is hard to show on crochet, especially with like this open crochet. This is, look, I've got this. I'll show you here. This is a beautiful yarn that I got at Studio South Yarn in Pensacola. Studio South Yarn Co. in Pensacola. Natalie is the owner, and she is delightful. I was talking with her actually. I went into the shop a couple weeks ago for their like knitting circle, and hung out with all the ladies there, and it was so nice. It was super nice. I can't wait to go back. Yeah, and she's just a delight. And so she dyed this yarn. This is the Wabi Sabi Cracked. I'm guessing that Wabi Sabi is kind of like one of a kind. It is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. It is also superwash. It's a fingering. It's 436 yards in 100 grams, and it's a 4-ply. Her shop is just the cutest, and she does have an online shop open, so I can have the link for that down below. But her hand-dyed yarns are just really, really lovely. I think the bases that she chooses for them are lovely, and I think she just does a lovely job. She's an art teacher, so her color sense is pretty great, and yeah, this has little specks of like bright blue and like a chartreuse. And then it's got like little bits of like a darker green in with that like really light aqua. And then of course it's got those like speckles of the gray. So this is a cool skein of yarn, and I really like it with this blue. I think it makes a fun edge for this shawl. I don't know if it shows up as more gray on camera. In person, it doesn't show up that gray. It really is like a aqua with gray. But I just love this. And this is about a week of crocheting on this. Crochet goes so fast. Every time I crochet something, I'm like, why don't I do this all the time? I could go through my yarn so much faster. But I don't know. I like to knit and crochet, so I like them both for different things. This is great. It's a soft, squishy kind of shawl. And I really like doing kind of like the lacy crochet with fingering weights. That's super nice. Most of the crochet that I've done in life is for like crochet blankets or like a scarf when I was like a kid or that kind of thing. And makes like a pretty dense fabric a lot of the time. So it's really fun to do the fingering weight for something that's more lacy. It's so nice. I really like that. And then the project bag is by Chestnut Fibers. They are on Etsy, have the cute little zipper pull. And I love the lining for this project bag. It's one of my very favorite linings. It has like a contrast color in the pocket too. It's got these little spots. I love this project bag. And it's a great like construction too. It stays open nicely. So yeah, great project bag. I'm always on the lookout for Chestnut Fibers to put out new ones so that I can get a new one if I like their fabric they use. So yeah, that is that guy. So those are my works in progress, minus this guy. Needle adjacent. I'll do needle adjacent real quick. I think my next pair of socks, oh dear, is probably going to be cast on. Of course, I feel like I shouldn't make promises because I told you guys I was going to do the hug shrug last time and I didn't do that. I did something totally different. But what I think I'm going to do is my next pair of socks is going to be these. It's the Fairytale colorway. This is Wool Envy Yarns. Yeah, Wool Envy Yarns on Etsy. This is the Fairytale colorway. It's a self-striping sock, and I adore this colorway. I adore this colorway. These are definitely some of my very favorite colors and color combinations. It is 75% merino, 25% nylon, 464 yards, in 100 grams. So I think these might become some stripy socks that might have some very simple lace. Maybe, we'll see. We'll see what I do. But these I think will be part of my magical make along because they're the Fairytale. They'll be my Fairytale socks, which I think is cute. Obviously my gnome and my Weasley sweater are also for the magical make along. Part of me wants to say that the shawl is too, because I think of it as my Ice Queen shawl. And that feels very like Fairytale and magical to me. I'm not eligible for prizes, so I feel like I can submit as many projects as I want. Because I'm not going to get a prize anyway. But we'll see. I may do that. It feels, I don't know, we'll see. I'll let you guys know as the magical make along continues whether, oh dear, I'm going to count that as a magical project or not. I keep thinking it's magical while I'm doing it, so that probably means that it is. I'll let you guys know. So for the next segment, let's go ahead and do a little bit of walking down memory lane. This is kind of like our mindfulness segment for today because it's the you know, revisiting old projects and just reflecting on them. These are not all the socks I've knit in the last year, but most of them. A lot of the socks that I knit were presents, so I don't have them anymore, or gifts, presents, gifts, whatever, it's synonymous. So I don't have those socks to show you, but I'll try to mention them as I remember them. I started knitting socks last August. So just over a year ago, I knit my very first pair of socks, which were, let me show you my box of socks to show. This is my box of socks to show you. And again, these are not all the socks I knit this year, but I started knitting socks in August, and these are most of the socks I've knit. My very first pair of socks were these. I'll try to tell you guys the yarn as I remember, but I may not remember all of them perfectly. But these were unique. It's by Earth Yarn. They're unique socks. I don't remember exactly the colorway, but they're these great rainbowy, almost like a gradient-y, ombre-y kind of rainbow, and I just love these so much. I think these are great. These are giant socks. And the story behind these is my husband, Alex, got me this yarn for Valentine's Day last year, so 2021, because he knew that I'd been wanting to knit socks for years, but I was scared. And he bought me this yarn and then another skein of sock yarn to try to encourage me, which was very sweet. And I was still too scared to do it until I finally one day was like, I want to use the beautiful yarn Alex got me. I want to use that yarn and I don't want to be scared. I had last summer done my first, I'd knit my first pattern, which was a lace cowl. It was also my first time knitting lace, and it was using a pattern from YouTube. It was like Easy Lace Cowl, and it was using Lion Brand cotton. It's like everyday cotton or something like that in the Earl Grey colorway. I've talked about it before on the channel. So in an earlier episode, it's on there. So I had just knit that last summer, and so I was feeling a lot more confident about my abilities. I was like, well, I knit this lace cowl, and I followed this person's instructions on YouTube, so that's kind of like following a pattern. I tried some written patterns, and then I tried a couple of toe-up socks, and none of that was working, so I finally found Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady. I found her on YouTube, and I found, there's a lizard outside. He's doing stuff. I found her top-down DPN vanilla sock pattern and tutorial on YouTube. So that was what I needed. And I followed her tutorial, and I knit these socks way too big. I think I knit them on US 2s, and I knit them fairly loosely, and I think I knit the smaller one, the 56 stitches, but they're gigantic. They're so big. There's some holes, but I love them, and I do wear them sometimes. One has a longer foot than the other one. Oh, actually not by a whole lot, but by a little bit. By a little bit. So I love these. One is longer than the other on the leg by quite a bit. You can see. So I love them. They were super meaningful to me. I remember crying when I finished the first sock and showing them to my husband and being like, I made this. I can't believe I made this. Look, I made it. It's a sock. It doesn't just look like a sock. It is a sock. And I definitely cried. And it was not super long after. It was about a month later that I started the YouTube channel, because I was just so I wanted to have someone to share my happiness with, not just my happiness, my joy with, because I didn't really have any knitting friends or yarn friends in general. And so I didn't have anybody to talk to about it other than my husband, who doesn't knit. He just loves me, which is good. And his love sustains me. But I wanted someone to talk to about it. And I also was very hopeful that my channel could, I don't know, just be helpful to somebody else in the world, because it's incredible the impact that these YouTube channels have had on me. Not just with my knitting and my crafting, but just personally, because as you might well know, when we create things with our hands, when we create, when we learn new skills, I think it changes us as people. I think usually in a good way. It helps us to grow. It is empowering. It does so many things. I think it connects us, not just to each other, but to like just the world, the creation at large, like the sheep, the plants, the natural dyes, for like human history. Like it does good things. And so I wanted to just hopefully have a positive impact as well, because I've been so positively impacted by so many of the channels on YouTube, particularly in the knitting and the yarn world. So these are a really significant pair of socks. And there are even more layers than that to these, but that's, for the interest of time, I'll only share that part of these. So this is the very first pair of socks that I made ever, and my second pattern ever that I followed. It was a tutorial on YouTube, and these are very special. So this channel might not exist if not for these socks. So moving on from that, how can we follow that? Well, this is my second pair of socks, and these were knit with Malabrigo sock. I don't know the colorway name. And then the contrast, you can tell I've worn these quite a lot. All my socks are worn as house socks for the most part, so you will see they are dirty on the bottom. These are all washed, but there's only so much I can do. So these have obviously been worn quite a bit, but this is the Malabrigo sock yarn, and then the contrast is a one-of-a-kind colorway by Nanette Wake Studio. I will say that a lot in this segment. And these were a much closer fit. These I knit on US 1.5s, and I kept my gauge tighter, and these fit well. I would not say that they fit perfectly. They're still a little on the big-ish side, but they fit well as house socks. So these were my very second pair. These were my second pair of socks. I wanted to try the contrast heel cuffs and toes. And I love these. I think they're super cute, and they are very soft because it's Malabrigo. Yeah, so I love those. My third pair of socks that I knit, because I wanted to knit Alex a pair of socks after I figured out what I was doing. This is not washed because he wore these yesterday, not knowing that I needed them. I squirreled away all these socks in the house and washed all of them, but these he hid from me. So these are the third pair of socks I ever knit. And these are Alex's Blurple socks. If you will remember from early episodes, if you've watched that far back, I talk about these. When I asked him what kind of socks he wanted, he said Blurple. And I was like, I'm not positive what you mean by that. Does that mean that you want me to knit you blue and purple socks? And he's like, I told you I want Blurple socks. So whatever, the man got these. This is knit on yarn that I hand dyed using Kool-Aid. So you can see the little speckles of the blue in the purple, kind of tonal variegated. And then of course the blue heel cuffs and toes. These are a little big on him. Also they've stretched. They are a little big. I did not I made a mistake on here where I started knitting like basically backwards on my DPNs. So this little part is like a purl bump. Yeah, basically like a purl bump, but it doesn't matter. We just call it an artistic feature. And yeah, he wears these all of the time. He wears all of his hand knit socks all of the time. Yeah, which is nice. I appreciate that. So these were the socks I knit for Alex. I wanted to make sure that I knit a couple of pairs for myself. These were I need to figure out how tension and things work kind of socks, and what, gauge, like what size needles, and these, once I figured that out with those, then I was able to knit Alex's sock on these. I knit my socks one at a time on DPNs, which helps. That meant that with each sock, the next sock was better. So if I'd been knitting them two at a time, I don't think my skills would have improved as swiftly. Because I would have just been making the same mistakes on both socks, rather than one, so that the other one can be better. And then I think my fourth pair of socks was these. And then after this pair, I will just be going in kind of like sort of general order, because I don't really know the order after this. I just kind of generally know-ish about when these were knit. So these were knit on Knit Picks Stroll hand-painted fingering in the Frolic colorway. And the heels and toes are a one-of-a-kind colorway by Nanette Studio on Etsy. These were knit on the Pansy colorway by Nanette Studio, and I love these. I'll try to get these a little closer to the camera so you can see the yarn a little better. But these were my first speckle experience. This was my first time using a hand-dyed speckled yarn, and my love of speckled yarn was born. I adored those. I was like, every single stitch is different. Every stitch is a mystery. Every stitch is a surprise. And there was joy in every single stitch of these socks. Legitimately, every stitch. I loved knitting those socks. We've got these. Also, this is Hard Candy, or I think this is Christmas Hard Candy by Nanette Studio. Beautiful. She's got some great hand-dyed yarns. And her sock yarn, her fingering weight yarn is 85/15. I'm almost positive. Yeah, 85% Superwash Merino, 15% nylon. Which means that her socks are so soft. Or these socks are so soft. I love them. This is also Nanette Studio. These are, ooh, I don't remember the name of this colorway. I think I've always just called these my mariposa socks because they make me think of a butterfly. And the heels and toes are my hand-dyed yarn. But these are gorgeous. All of her yarn is always gorgeous. This is also Nanette Studio. This is the Bachelor Buttons colorway. And these, you can see there's been some felting on the back because I have worn these with boots a couple of times, like my little duck boots. So that's a little sad. There's some felting, but these are made to be used. So these do have a little bit of texture on them. It's like a spiral purl bump kind of deal. I don't know exactly what the pattern is called. It's from Knit Picks. It's from the Knit Picks sock pattern book. And yeah, I don't know I think it's just like a simple spiral socks or something like that. These I knit in Wisconsin. This is my first Regia. These are my first Regia socks, but I do not know this colorway. Yeah, this is my first time using Regia, and I remember thinking that these were too rustic, but They're not bad. Like once you wash them, they're not soft, but they're not like terribly rustic. And I've got some felting going on the backs of these too, because I've worn them with boots as well. These are some sport weight socks. This is craftily dyed yarn, the Monet colorway, which, as you can imagine, was a joy to knit with. These are like, that's gorgeous. That's just so beautiful. This was a good lesson in using sport weight yarn, and because these socks are a bit too big. So I think I knit them basically the same as I would knit my fingering weight socks. These are too big. So I learned from that. These are my first pair of DK socks. This is Mandy's Makings. I think this is like icicles or something like that. But so cute. I love that yarn. And I do still have, I have so many scraps from all of these. This is Hobby Lobby, which this is a colorway that is still at Hobby Lobby. This is the authentic hand-dyed. It says fingering weight, 100% superwash merino. This is the Tiger Eye colorway. Yeah, it's the Hobby Lobby Yarn Bee authentic hand-dyed. And this is what it looks like knit up into socks, which I would not have guessed looking at the skein hanging in the store, but so these are fun. These those are kind of beachy to me. These were my Christmas socks this past year, and aren't they beautiful? I love these. I really love these. This is also Nanette Wake Studio. I think that this was part of like a one-of-a-kind like kit. And then I used some like scraps for the heels, cuffs and toes and that sort of thing. But I love these. I think these are really pretty Christmas socks. And I'm sorry, I'm like stretching and stuff. I'm having a lot of body pain today. I'm not really super sure why. Hopefully I'm not getting sick, but I hurt. So I apologize for all of like the weird stretching or readjusting. That's probably already happening and will continue to happen. These are also Nanette Wake Studio. I think this is like, is it Lay Greetings? I think this was Lay Greetings, like lei, like the Hawaiian lei. Super, super fun. And so soft. This was my first Paton's Kroy. This is I think it's Route 66. And then I did a DK weight heel and toe with these as well. And this was when I discovered that Paton's Kroy is basically DK. It's like a heavy sport. It's like a heavy sport weight. So these socks are way too big. These were my first, sometimes I'll call these my very first DK or sport weight sock. Because these were my first like sport weight socks. They are way too big. And then, yeah, they're too big. I can wear them as house socks, but they're very dense and they're kind of big. These are also sport weight, bordering on DK. They're like a heavy sport. This was hand spun. This is my first time knitting with hand spun. This is not my hand spun though. I bought this off of Etsy from Our Yarny World. And I, again, have DK heels, cuffs and toes on these. This is just like a Hobby Lobby Yarn Bee. I think it must be Merino in the linen colorway. That's what I used for the heels, toes, and cuff. Okay, we're in the last layer. These were recently knit. These were knit using, I think this is Lion Brand Lion brand Mani Petty. Yeah, it's their like sock yarn. So Lion brand Mani Petty sock yarn in the knee colorway, as in the anatomical knee that is on your leg. And that was fun. And that was my first experiment with using a 50-gram skein to give me a pair of socks. So I got a pair of kind of normal socks out of a 50-gram skein. I do knit my socks. They're all in DPNs. I started out with the 2s, which swiftly changed to knitting on US 1.5s. And now I knit my socks on US 1s. Maybe I'll have 1 or 2 1.5s in the mix, you know, because you use 5 DPNs when you're knitting with the DPNs for socks. So sometimes 1 or 2 of those needles might be a 1.5. But typically, I'm basically knitting with US 1s at this point. So that's kind of how that has progressed. And I cast on 56 stitches. Yeah, and I knit all my socks cuff down. And usually a heel flap, a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset, as you will have seen. This is also Nanette Wake Studio. I think this was the Glacier colorway. Yeah, and that's it's a really cool yarn. Okay. This was Sheepy Shire Lily Pad colorway. I can't believe I remember all these names. I can't believe, like, in the last year, I guess I remember every sock I've ever knit, is what that means. Yeah, so this is the Lily Pad colorway. This is Sport Weight. This is by Sheepy Shire on Etsy. This is my first time doing a German short row heel. I did not like it. There are holes, and that bothers me. And that heel shape does not fit my foot very well. So this was my first time doing that. And then I did it once more with these. This is Fingering Weight. This is from Ridiculous yarn. I don't remember the colorway on these though. So apparently I don't remember everything. I spoke too soon. The heels and toes are the Poppy colorway, Knit Picks Stroll Tonal in the Poppy colorway. But I don't remember the name of this yarn by Ridiculous Yarns. I do think it's still on in their shop though, on Etsy. So yeah, this I did the German short row heels again, but you can see that I still hadn't gotten the hang of like how to do like a different colored heel. And so I've got this ridiculous little like section in the middle of my heel on one, but not on the other. But there is like this little line in the middle. So anyway, that was goofy. And these didn't fit great either. That heel just doesn't fit my foot shape as well as a heel flap and gusset, like I guess a slip stitch heel flap and gusset specifically. So these fit okay, but they do slide down when I wear them. So the yarn is lovely though. And I think those were the only 2 socks that I knit with the short row heel, because I think I threw my hands up after that and was like, I'm just doing the slip stitch heel flap and gusset because that seems to work, and I've adjusted the way I knit socks enough at this point to where that does work pretty well. I'm gonna take this off for a moment because I feel like I'm getting a little warm. This is also Nanette Wake Studio yarn. I don't remember the colorway for this either, but it is no longer available. Most of her colorways are one of a kind, so it's almost a little pointless to tell you the color name other than just for fun. This was my first time doing stranded color work. I made up stranded color work as I went. I guess I have it explained in the episode where these were my finished object. But you can see like I've got very simple kind of stranded color work at the cuffs and the toes. So yeah, that was my first time doing stranded color work, and of course I just made it up. Why would I watch a tutorial or use a pattern like a reasonable person? I don't know. These were my scrappy Valentine's Day socks. This is on Sport Weight yarn by Gem State Yarns on Etsy. This was their holiday, this is one of their minis. This was their February minis set, which was like a Valentine's Day theme. So I knit these on Valentine's Day. I knit these in about like a day and a half, I guess. And I think they are very, very cute. I really like them. So I just kind of set out the minis in the way I wanted them configured, and I just kind of did some scrappy socks with those minis, and I really like how they turned out. We're getting close to the end, you guys. This is Knit Picks Felici. This colorway isn't available anymore, but Knit Picks Felici in the Palm Springs colorway. I'm almost positive that's it. Palm Springs colorway. Which is very cute. Self-striping. And I did a garter heel on this instead of the slip stitch heel flap. I did a garter heel flap, which was okay. I think I prefer the slip stitch. This I was just getting irritated with all the, because I was also knitting like 2 pairs of socks every week, so I was just kind of getting a little fed up with the process at that point. So I was like, I'm gonna try something different that isn't the slip stitch thing, because that was irritating me at that point for some reason. So I did the garter, and it was okay. I think the slip stitch fits me better, and the garter does have like a weird texture on the back of my foot, so I don't prefer it, but it is. It adds like an interesting texture to like visually. This is another pair of Paton's Kroy. This is the, I think it's 50s Stripes colorway, which is a very cute self-striping. I knit these as DK socks because I was like, Paton's Kroy, you're not tricking me again. I'm going to knit you as DK socks, which is what you are. So they are more, I guess, heavy sport than DK, but the DK sock pattern worked fine for these. They're not too small. So I probably would do them a few stitches bigger next time, because they're a snug fit. So they're not too small, but I would like a little less negative ease, I think. And I did DK yarn for the heels, cuffs, and toes. But that was these. These were a test knit. This is using the Knit Picks Stroll Fingering in the Frolic colorway once more. This is a broken rib. These were my broken rib shorty socks by, is it Crochet Girl? I should probably know this since I test knit for her. I think it's Naughty Crochet or Naughty Crochet Girl. Again, I talk about this in detail on an earlier episode. But these were fun. These were my first pair of shorty socks and my first time doing a test knit. So I had a fun time doing these, and they fit great. This is another pair using Ridiculous yarn, but I don't know the colorway. I think of these as my Monet socks because to me this looks like a Monet painting. But I don't actually know. And the periwinkle on the heels and the toes is Knit Picks as well. It's Knit Picks Stroll Tonal in the Manatee colorway. Then we've got, I guess these guys were older. So these are, I think of these as my Sparkly Mermaid socks. This is the Lotus. This is what I was showing you guys earlier that I'm knitting my gnome hat out of. This is Sheepy Shire on Etsy on their Pixie sock base, which is their sparkly Selena sock, which I don't know if you can you see the sparkle on these? Kind of. In the Lotus colorway, which is just really beautiful. You see the, yeah, it's got these like little bits of like chartreuse in there. I love little bits of chartreuse. So these are pretty. Those I think of as my sparkly mermaid socks. Oh my goodness, we're getting close to the end. It's hurting my shoulders and neck quite a lot to hold these out so far to the camera because the camera's actually pretty far away. And I'm gonna do this so that I have a little bit more freedom of movement. Okay, so this pair of socks was also Nanette Wake Studio yarn. I want to say that this was like the green apple salt, this green apple taffy, something like that. I love these socks so much. These were like a dream come true because Mina Phillips from the Knitting Expat podcast, in one of her earliest episodes, had a pair of socks that was similar to this colorway, and I fell in love with it like when I first watched that podcast episode however many years ago. And I finally got to knit a similar pair of socks just a month or two ago. So that's these guys. And I love them. I think they are super pretty. And it's Nanette Wake Studio yarn, so it's super soft. So my other husband socks. Oh, and then I guess the most recent pair of socks I knit for myself were these, which I did show on the podcast. These are Malabrigo sock in the Aniversario colorway. And those are very pretty. And then for my husband's socks, so I knit him Blurple. I didn't bring a drink with me. I should have. It's a lot of talking. I knit him Blurple. His second pair of socks were these because he requested some socks for fishing. I'm not going to get into that whole story. I tell it in great detail in one of the earlier podcast episodes. So he wanted some socks for fishing, and he said he would like green, and he approved this color green. This is Olive Drab by Nanette Wake Studio, and I do think she actually does have this one on her Etsy shop, which is fortunate because this is a gorgeous colorway. So this is Olive Drab on Nanette Wake Studio. And like, that's a gorgeous green, and it's beautifully soft. So these were husband socks, and he decided he liked the 2x2 cuff better. So all of his socks have a 2x2 rib for the most part. These I knit using scraps for him. These were his Christmas socks. This is a Nanette Wake Studio. This was like I guess it's a 50 gram skein of Nanette Wake Studio. And this is Knit Picks Stroll Fingering Tonal in the Train Station colorway. So those are fun. I did learn that he does not like this kind of sock pair. He doesn't like that he's basically wearing a red sock and a black sock. Even though they coordinate, they don't match enough for him. So he does still wear them, but they're not his favorite. So I won't do that anymore. These are actually better to show on a sock blocker. So I will do that. These I knit for him recently. This is a sport weight sock yarn by Wonderland Yarn. The colorway is Ablaze. And yeah, it's their sport weight socks. And I just did like a very simple kind of rib texture on them. And I guess you can see the ribbing better here. So it's kind of like a stripy rib. And he does like these. He likes all of his socks, but I'm learning like what colors and patterns and things. He might be pickier about it than I am. I feel like I hear that all the time though, where people who knit, their like spouses are pickier about what they knit than they are. But the yarn is really pretty. So those are his ribbed socks. And then the socks that are my work in progress right now are also for him. This is Paton's Kroy. The colorway is Adrift. And these are almost a finished object, so I probably won't show them to you guys on the podcast next episode because I am getting very close to my toe decreases on the second sock. But this is the Adrift colorway by Paton's Kroy sock. And it's these very pretty, kind of almost nautical kind of stripes. And this is fun. I've enjoyed doing that. I did do a contrast heel in a different Paton's Kroy that I don't remember the name of. I've knit these pretty long in the leg for his boots because he wanted boot socks. So those are all of my socks that are in my house now. I also have socks that I've knit for my family and friends. So I knit one pair for a friend for her wedding socks because she was wearing Converse with her wedding dress and she wanted hand knit socks to wear with them. So I knit her a pair of wedding socks. I've knit my little brother 2 pairs of socks. And his wife also has gotten 2 pairs of socks. Another sister-in-law has gotten a pair of socks, and then my mom's gotten a pair, and my dad's gotten a pair. I think those are all the socks that I have knit for people outside of my house. So that's 8 pairs, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I've knit 13 pairs of socks that were not for me. And then I've knit myself. How many pairs have I knit myself? 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So I knit myself 28 pairs of socks this year. Wow. So 28 plus 13 is 41. 28 plus 13. I think that's 41. Math in my head is a little difficult sometimes. But I think that that's 41 pairs of socks. So unless I'm forgetting a pair somewhere, I have knit 41 pairs of socks in my first year of knitting socks. Whew. Wow. I never would have expected that a few years ago. Again, I won't get emotional, but that actually does stir up quite a lot of emotion within me. For years, I guess I was just plagued by self-doubt because I didn't think I'd ever be able to knit anything other than just garter stitch scarves. So to think that I've knit 41 pairs of socks in my very first year of knitting socks. Wow. That's all I can say to that is wow. That means a whole lot to me. Yeah, that does actually mean quite a lot to me. So what other reflections do I have on this? Basically, it's just an opportunity, I think, for me to reflect on where I started and where I'm at now. Each pair of socks has different memories. Getting the yarn, holding the yarn, walking around with the yarn for days or weeks before I actually used it. I remember the Frolic yarn, so the Knit Picks Stroll in the Frolic colorway. I'd been wanting that for a couple months before I finally ordered it off of Amazon at that point, because I had never placed an order on Knit Picks. I'd never gotten Knit Picks yarn. So I got it from Amazon at that point, and I remember getting it in the mail. And this was also before I started really buying yarn. And I just carried it around with me, and I think I was close to tears a couple of times. I get emotional about things. I have strong emotions. I have big emotions, especially around yarn, apparently. So that was such a special skein. Yeah, so all of these socks have memories. The ones I've knit for other people have a lot of meaning for me. Yeah, so just a lot of reflection. I can see how I've grown. And then I can kind of see like how much I've grown just as a person over the last year as I reflect on how I've changed in my knitting and in my sock knitting over the past year. And some of my personal growth has been because of knitting, which I think sounds a little silly or trivial, but it isn't, because what we do and how we spend our time, particularly when we are crafting or creating, it changes us. So yeah, I could probably go down an existential rabbit hole, but I won't. So I just, maybe invite you to revisit some of your past projects and finished objects and reflect on them and what they mean to you, what they meant to you then, how you've changed or grown since then, or etc. So mindfulness within knitting and our craft. So last thing I think for today is going to be acquisitions. We're skipping over like the books I've been reading. I'll share one book I've read with you guys just because it's really precious. But I'll share it with you very quickly. This is a very precious book. I've never really, and then after this we'll do Yarny acquisitions. And we'll talk about like some knit-alongs and things. But I have never really, I used to like Nancy Drew as a kid. And I read all the time as a child. I was one of those kids who got in trouble for reading too much. Like their parents would be like, you read too much. So anyway, one of the book series that I read a lot as a kid was Nancy Drew. But since I was a child and read Nancy Drew, I haven't really read any mysteries. Lately I've been hearing on people's podcasts and things about how they really enjoy all these various like cozy mysteries, which is apparently a genre. I should probably Google the genre so that I can have a more accurate understanding about what it is. But my understanding of the genre is, and I don't know if this is the actual like official name of the genre, but it is usually, from what I have seen, it is usually women who are writing these mystery novels, and they are set in a cozy, wholesome, sometimes borderline saccharine kind of writing style. And they're just like cute and sweet and cozy and wholesome, and nothing really super bad happens. Like they're just a very unstressful read. They're just a great, just a fun, pleasant read. And they're mystery novels, so they're kind of engaging the mind a bit, but they're cozy. So it's not like the like hardcore, like dark mystery novels. So yeah, this is different. This is cozy mystery. So this one was my first experience of that, and I really like it. So I went ahead and I bought the other two books in this series. This is called Death on the Night of Lost Lizards, a Hungarian tea house mystery. It's set in a Hungarian tea house, which is charming. And it's by Julia Buckley. And this is the cover. So you can tell it is a very cute, cozy, wholesome, sweet kind of writing style and story. Like in the book, like, her boyfriend's a detective. So she and her family have a Hungarian tea house, and like they're all Hungarian, and they live in America, but like the grandparents, no, the grandparents and the parents like moved to America, and the main character was born in America, but she's first generation. And so they're all Hungarian, and they've got this tea house, and it's a traditional Hungarian tea house, and her boyfriend is a homicide detective, and he's just very, like, he sighs about work. I don't really share tons about my personal life, but I am very intimately connected with people who were in law enforcement, one of whom was a detective and who mostly did homicides and child crimes. And there was not a lot of sighing involved. Like, that's some really heavy stuff. Like, that's intense, dark stuff. Like, you're working with some of the darkest parts of humanity with that kind of job. Like, it's heavy. And the way that she describes this girl's boyfriend, the homicide detective in this book, is he's just like, it's good work, it's meaningful work, but it is hard. And it's like, that's not an accurate representation of the profession at all. Like, hard does not begin to describe it. But that's just the writing style. Like, a person has died, and like people, like some people are kind of like angsty or petty, but like not in like a super dark kind of way. They're just kind of like at a very like surface level kind of way petty, and then later in the book it's sort of justified because like they have their own personal reasons, and like your heart goes out to them, and the main character is just so full of love and understanding for everyone, and all of her friends are like the perfect friends, and her family is like perfect and supportive in every way, and like nothing wrong ever happens. It's not a realistic book at all. It's just sweet and cozy, and there's some mystery, like it's a murder mystery, and everybody's just so nice. And I think that can be kind of fun. It can be a little bit of a fun break from reality, and there are like good, bright, joyful, and wholesome sides to humanity. So I think that this kind of book and this genre maybe like highlights those parts of humanity. So it's not a particularly realistic and balanced kind of story, but it is a nice story. And it was interesting enough to, like, it's not overly sweet and saccharine. I would say it's good. Is it like a literary work of, is it like a literary masterpiece? No. But not every book has to be. So I liked it. I think I would recommend it. I don't know if I've got any trigger warnings for it really, other than it's a murder mystery. I'm not remembering any kind of trigger warnings for it. So yeah, that was fun. And I read that while I was on vacation, which was really nice. It really let my brain just totally decompress and chill. So now for acquisitions. I did read other books between now and last time, but I want to get through acquisitions because this is a longer episode. So for my first bit of acquisitions, let's talk about some hand-dyed yarn. So I went to Dixie Knits, and I went to Studio South Yarn Company, which I did mention to you. Oh, but before the yarn, I also got this, which I haven't used yet, but I'm excited about it. This is a polymer clay kit. Yeah, and it's got like a bunch of different colors of polymer clay, and I just kind of want to play around with it because it's kind of like Play-Doh, but for adults. And I was thinking about trying to do things like stitch markers, and yeah, mostly stitch markers, if I'm being honest. Maybe some like little jewelry things or something too, but I was mostly interested in trying to make stitch markers. So we'll see how this goes. I think that would be fun. So I did get that. So I think it'd be fun to play around with polymer clay. So this is right in front of me, so I'll do this one first. This is Studio South Yarn Company. So these were dyed by Natalie, and I really love these so much. I'm super excited. This is Sport Weight. It is the Wild Violet colorway. I don't know how well you can see, and the camera's so far away. So yeah, so this is some of Natalie's hand dyed. And like I said, it is the sport weight. It's 100% Superwash Merino, 328 yards and 100 grams. It is a 3-ply sport. Yeah, so Wild Violet. And it's just kind of tonal, kind of to lightly variegated. It's got some little speckles in it. And I've already picked out a pattern for these that actually I was going to cast on. It smells really nice. Her shop smells really nice, and it smells like her shop. I was going to cast this on last week, but then I cast on the crochet shawl instead. But I already know what pattern I want to do with these, and I think I'm probably going to cast it on when I'm done with that crocheted shawl, the Adeline shawl. I think this will be my next shawl cast on. So that's exciting. And I will link the shop down below for Studio South Yarn Co. in Pensacola, because she's just got such cool stuff. I think it's fairly unique. And her dye style, I think, is very, very cool. So this is from Dixie Knits. I got 2 skeins from Dixie Knits. I've kind of slowed down on my yarn buying lately, I think. I don't know. There's a yarn crawl going on in Georgia right now, and some of those shops are wouldn't be too difficult for me to go to, especially since I'm going to be traveling to visit my niece this weekend. So I might try to do some of the Georgia yarn crawl this week, or this weekend. So, but I noticed that I'm not like as pumped about it as I would have been a few months ago. And I think I just am like kind of, you know, I've got a lot of yarn at this point. My yarn stash is like definitely a yarn stash now. So my kind of like mania for buying a bunch of hand-dyed yarn or just yarn in general is starting to kind of die down. But I do kind of want to do the yarn, because this would be my very first yarn crawl. So I kind of do want to get at least a few skeins from that. But anyway, I digress. So I got 2 skeins at Dixie Knits, and these are both skeins that I saw in the shop last time I was there. Because I think I was there, I think I went to Dixie Knits in June. And so I went back in August, and these were still there, and I was like, yes, I regretted not getting you the first time. This is Periwinkle. This is the Lazuli. 100% superwash merino wool. It's 400 yards and 115 grams. Which I didn't see, but that does track. It looks like a 2-ply, and this is the Periwinkle colorway, and I do love Periwinkle. I love that it's the Pantone color of the year this year is Periwinkle. I'm a big fan of that. Give me all the Periwinkle. I love this color so much. And then I got this is from Big Sky Yarn Co. This is the Star Sock, and this is the Rocky Mountain NP colorway. Oh, Rocky Mountain National Park. Rocky Mountain National Park colorway. And it's got these beautiful like periwinkle like bits. I just think that's very, very beautiful. And I really like it with the periwinkle from Big Sky Yarn, or from Lazuli, or Lazuli. I can never, for some reason, I can never say it. Yeah, I think they go together very well. So this might become a beautiful shawl. I really like it. I actually found a shawl pattern that I might do with these. This looks like it's a 4-ply. So this has got like a tighter twist, and it looks like a 4-ply, and this looks like a 2-ply, but I think it'd be fine. I've done some like mixed company before for shawls, and yeah, for shawls. sorry for the crinkling if that is very upsetting to you. So those were my hand-dyed yarn acquisitions from Florida Yarn Shops. And then I did go to Hobby Lobby earlier this week, and I did get a few things from Hobby Lobby. The main thing to show you guys is this little bunch of yarn. So I am going to be participating in the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along that starts in October. I'm very excited. I was kind of going back and forth about it throughout this year as to whether I was going to do it or not. And I was like, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to do it. So this will be my first Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. This will be my first Stephen West pattern. And, you know, he released what yarn you need for it last week, I think it was. And I spent, last week, I think on, I can't remember what day last week. And then the kits got released, I think, last Saturday. His kits were gorgeous, but I'm not going to buy one of those kits at this time in my life. I just, I can't budget for that right now. So, I can't and won't, I guess. Or can't or won't. I guess I won't budget for that right now. I don't know, whatever language you want to use for it. They're too expensive for what I feel comfortable with at this moment. So I wasn't going to do that. I thought about doing a kit off of Etsy. What I was originally going to do for the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along was pull from stash. And I wanted to just get all of my pink scraps and yarns and odds and ends together and do that for it. But he said you need 2 skeins of a main color, 2 skeins of a contrast color, and then 1 skein of an accent color. So you need 5 skeins of yarn. And based on what he's talking about, based on how he's describing the pattern and the past patterns that he's comparing it to, it really, I don't think that I don't feel comfortable just pulling in a bunch of my scraps and like random skeins to try to do it. It really does sound like for his vision, you do need 100 grams of your main color, or sorry, 200 grams of your main color, 200 grams of your contrast color, and then 100 grams of your pop color. And that really does seem like what you need based on what I'm hearing from how he's describing it. So I thought about getting a kit on Etsy. There were none that I just felt like I was so in love with that I wanted to, there were none that I felt comfortable purchasing. There were several that I really liked, but none of them that I loved to the point that I was going to make that investment into it. Because it's not just, you know, the money spent on it. It's a lot of time and energy and effort to make one of these shawls, and it's a mystery. So I don't even know if I'm going to like this pattern. So I just didn't feel comfortable investing that much time, energy, money, etc. into something that I wasn't really sure if I was going to love the finished product. So I just want to not be stressed out, and I just want to enjoy the process of knitting it. I just want to enjoy being part of a mystery knit along. Stephen West is delightful, so I just want to enjoy him guiding me through this mystery. I don't want to stress about the yarn. So because I was finding that I was stressing out about the yarn, I decided I'm going to go to Hobby Lobby to buy a main color and a contrast color. And then I'm going to use one of my skeins from Stash as my pop color. So here we go. This is most likely, unless I change my mind, but this is most likely going to be my kit or my yarn set for the Stephen West Twist and Turns Mystery Knit Along. Hooray! I'm pretty happy with this. I think this is going to be really, really cute. So these 4 are from Hobby Lobby. This is the Hobby Lobby Yarn Bee Authentic Hand Dyed. This is the Zahara colorway. So it's this nice kind of tonal and speckled browns, very like light, natural kind of browns, or neutral kind of browns. And then this is the Flamenco colorway. So a very pale pink on like a nice cream with some blue speckles. I don't know how nicely the blue speckles are showing up. And I really like those together with this skein from my stash. This is Knit Picks Hawthorne Fingering Burlingame. And I think that that's really pretty. One of the things I really liked about these colors together, I think these two are great, and you can actually see the blue speckles a little better on the skein. Yeah, so I think that these two work well together. I think they're not going to be too blendy. I think the colors are different enough that there will be a good, nice contrast between them in the pattern, but they are not, but they have enough, they're close enough in color family, and they have enough speckling and tonality to them that they will still blend a little bit, which is what I would prefer. So I would like a little bit of blendiness. And I think that this is a very like neutral kind of color palette that I could wear with a lot of different things. And then I think this is a nice pop of color to make it interesting. But it's still like, it's still a fairly versatile colorway. I think I could still wear that with a lot of things. And so this, I think, translates into a fairly neutral, versatile shawl, theoretically, or hypothetically. And yeah, I think that makes it a lot more wearable, which is good, because one of the things I thought about was I don't want to invest all this time, energy, etc. into a Stephen West shawl that I may not like wear. Like I don't want to invest so much time and energy into something I might not wear. So going with something that's a little bit more neutral felt like a safer choice for it being easily integrated into my wardrobe. And then I also thought that this color palette was mildly fall-ish. It's mildly autumnal. But it's not so autumnal that I can't wear it all year round. But I do think that that's a fairly autumnal kind of color palette. Again, ish. Like it's still, I think, very neutral. It's very season neutral. But I am kind of in the mood to start using some fall color palette. I want to wear more fallish colors, that kind of thing. So I was very happy with this. Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm grateful that the idea occurred to me to check Hobby Lobby. I'm very grateful that Hobby Lobby has hand-dyed fingering weight yarn. And Knit Picks too is a very great, more affordable option. So if you, I don't know, like if you want to participate in these kinds of things, but getting these kits is just outside of like what you want to pay for at this point, or what you can pay for at this point, places like Hobby Lobby, Knit Picks, you know, I'm sure places like Michael's or Joann or that sort of thing probably have more kind of budget-friendly options too. I was just so pleased. I still am like, every time I see this, it makes me happy. And it makes me feel like warm and cozy and excited. And I think that that's what my kit needs to make me feel. When I looked at the other kits, I was just filled with very mixed feelings. And they were stressing me out. So I really like this a lot. And I feel very happy about this. And I can't wait for the cast on now. It doesn't stress me out anymore. Eee, I'm so happy. I'll show it to you again because I'm so incredibly happy with this. Yeah, I think it's gonna be so good. So that's what I got for Hobby Lobby for my Stephen West Twist and Turns Mystery Knit Along. But I also got a couple other things. I got this skein because while I was looking at the different kits, these beautiful copper colorways kept coming up. And so then I went down a rabbit hole of trying to find copper yarn just because I wanted a copper skein in my stash. And while I was looking for my shawl yarn at Hobby Lobby, I just happened to find this one. This is also the Yarn Bee Authentic Hand Dyed Tonal. And this is the Chestnut Ember colorway. And it's just this beautiful copper tonal. And it's very interesting. And I do think that this is one of the reasons why I think it's always good when you can to buy your hand, well, just yarn in person, just in general, but particularly your hand-dyed yarn in person. But I think particularly at Hobby Lobby, there can be, at least from my experience, there's a lot of variation between the skeins, even if they're from the same dye lot. This was from the same dye lot as the skein next to it, but the other skein was like orange, like straight up like burnt orange. And this one I would say is a nice copper. I don't know what the difference is. So if I had ordered online and I had received a orange skein, I would have been disappointed. So I'm very happy that I was in the store and I found this beautiful copper skein. And I think it's such a nice, it's such a nice color. So I've got my copper yarn, which is good. I need to reorganize my yarn stash. I'm probably going to be doing a episode pretty soon of reorganizing my yarn stash for autumn. So yeah, that will probably get used in a shawl project if I had to guess. And then I also grabbed some Paton's Kroy for socks for Alex because he is wanting boot socks. So Paton's Kroy is a good option for socks for him to be able to wear to work, so that he can wear them in his boots and they'll be rugged and hard wearing, and they won't get torn up by his boots and they will protect his sweet little feet. So these were in the clearance section of Hobby Lobby, so I got these very affordably. This is Paton's Kroy sock in the Magic Stripes colorway. And these are Alex approved. I did show them to him when I got home and he was like, yeah, I do actually like those. This is a colorway I would never pick out, but when I saw them, I thought to myself, Alex might like that though. And they are socks for him. So those were the sock yarn. That was the sock yarn I got for him. Yes, I think, is that everything? Have we reached the end at last? Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for today. Yeah, the next podcast episode is going to be, I think, an anniversary one, because I think that the next episode is my my 1-year podiversary episode. So that's very exciting. I think I'd like to do a giveaway just to say thank you to everybody who has been part of the community and who's made this, I don't know, who's made this community possible for me. So I think I'll do an anniversary giveaway on next week's, or not next week's, but probably in 2 weeks from now-ish. The next podcast episode. We will do a happy anniversary, happy podiversary to the Mindful Knitter podcast / the Mindful Knitter YouTube channel. Yeah, we'll do a little giveaway for that, I think. So I'll give you guys the information for that giveaway next time, but I think that'll be fun. So for today, I think that's all. We've got a magical make-along is going on, so you can check that out. There's a hashtag on Instagram. It is #amagicalmal. So #amagicalmal is our Instagram hashtag. And we've got some real cute magical projects on there. We also have the videos for it on the YouTube channel, which I will put in the description below the video. And then in October, we have the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along that is hosted by Stephen and Penelope. Or West Knits, or however one says that. So that's exciting. Are you guys doing that? If you're doing it, let me know. Maybe we could have a thread in the Ravelry group where we all post our Stephen West stuff. That'd be really fun. How about we have a Mindful Knitter, an unofficial Stephen West make along or knit along on the Mindful Knitter channel? I think that'd be really fun. So let's do that. I'll create a thread on the Ravelry group. And I'd love to see your guys' kits or the yarn you're putting together for it. And we can share each other's finished objects or our progress, that kind of stuff. I think that'd be really fun. So let me know if you are doing that knit along, the Stephen West knit along. And yeah, if you want to join our little mini knit along that goes along with it, then I'll put that on Ravelry. Yeah, so I think that's about it. I guess we'll end here today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, I am just so grateful for you all, and I'm grateful for this community, for this channel. Oh, I guess a little like knit chat thing real quick. I am going to my very first yarn retreat. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm going to a yarn retreat on the 16th. It's next week. I'm going to it's the Yarn Patch. It's in Tennessee. So I'll be driving up there to go to the Yarn Patch yarn retreat. It's in the Cumberland Mountains State Park, I think. Yeah, so I'll be there, and we've got at least one other person who is a friend of the channel who is going to be there too, which is really fun. I'm super excited to meet her, and we'll hang out a little bit. You are not obligated to hang out with me the whole time. You can go and have fun with other people. But I'm excited to meet you. You know who you are. And I'm just so excited about it. It'll be 3 days of knitting in the mountains with other yarn enthusiasts, and I just am excited beyond words. I didn't really think I'd be able to go to this yarn retreat. It had been mentioned a couple times in our knit nights on Zoom, and I was kind of low-key jealous that she was going to be going to this, because it's actually fairly accessible. Like, it's not too bad for me to drive. So I was wanting to go, but I didn't think I'd be able to, and then I found out I could go. So I'm going to be going to that next weekend, and I'm so excited. Maybe I'll do a video for that, like a vlog. Yeah, I'll do a first yarn retreat vlog. I have a lot of videos planned. Oh boy. Actually, and I have a spinning video that I am editing right now that I'm debating to put up or not, because not as many people like the spinning videos, but I don't know, I'll probably put it up anyway for all those who do like to watch the spinning videos, because I like to watch spinning videos. It's one of the main things that motivated me to finally, start spinning. So yes, I think those are all the things that are going on. I will end it because it's been over 2 hours now. It's been a very long episode, but it's episode number 25, which is a huge milestone. And then our next episode will also be a huge milestone episode. So I'll try to get something fun planned for that as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day or evening or week, and that you have happy crafting time. I will see you guys next time. Bye.